Yo, what is up guys? So we have the new Brandish Maidens. This archetype only has like 12 cards and basically it's a spell-based deck. But I got a lot of variety of gameplay showcasing off a lot of different builds in this deck. Now, I understand a lot of people are complaining about the new continuous spell card, saying it's like the Spellbook of Judgment. It's good in a different way. I don't think it's on the same level necessarily as Spellbook of Judgment, because that card was just like on crazy levels. But the Brandish Mechanism multi-roll is absolutely insane, and we got a lot of replays, a lot of different builds here. So I'll basically be commentating over the gameplay here. And there's a lot of different builds that people are trying. I've seen Curry Bandit. This deck is getting a lot of hype, but the deck seems like it has a few things that can just shut it down completely. We're talking Eternity Beast, we're talking Spellbook, or it's a Secret Village of the Spellcasters. A lot of cards can just shut down this deck like immediately, and like the deck can't even function. But how the deck functions, if you guys don't know how it functions well. Basically, let me sum it up over here. You're going to be snatch stealing, you're going to be destroying things, you're going to be just going off with your plays, and then you have this card, Brandish Mechanism Multi-Roll, which is, again, one of the most insane cards in this archetype. It's a continuous spell card that says once per turn you can target one other card you control, send it to the graveyard. Also, your opponent can't activate cards or effects in response to your spell card's activations this turn. And usually you can send something that your opponent controls anyways via the snatch steal effect of one of the cards. But on top of that, once per turn and during the battle phase, you can set Brandish spell cards with different names from your graveyard to your field up to the number of Brandish spell cards activated this turn while this card was face up on the field, but vanish it when they leave the field. Now, there's a lot of cards that just search out other Brandish cards, so you're able to basically recycle and just kind of loop your stuff. Even though some of them get vanished, it doesn't matter because you just have so much advantage. And a lot of times what you guys will see is that you're going to be able to deplete your opponent out of resources super fast, because the archetype has a lot of cards that gain a lot of free advantage just if you have 3 or more spell cards in your graveyard. And that could be any spell card. That could be Reasoning, Upstart Goblin, any Terraform, just another spell card just to add to the graveyard. You guys are seeing he's getting so many cards, and then every time he's activating one, he's going to get, well, it's not really a counter on this card, but basically you can set Brandish spell cards with different names from your graveyard up to the number of Brandish spell cards you activated this turn. And a lot of the cards are going to be quick play that you will be setting up. Therefore, you're going to be able to activate during your opponent's turn, and then when it comes back and you know, you're able to activate this effect during the end phase, you just set a bunch of other ones right back down. And that's why I feel like this archetype has a lot of potential. And then on top of that, how the deck works is because it has to be you set Brandish spell cards with different names from your graveyard to your field up to the number of Brandish spell cards you activated while this card was face up on the field. Like, yes, you do have them banished, but you're going to be activating your regular Brandish cards. Like, they built this archetype really, really well. I also got to give a shout out to WeebYGO over here. There's a lot of different builds that I want to showcase off here, and they are definitely different. Like I said, that's why I really wanted to show off. We got Potato Man, he's playing the Curry Bandit build, and then we have Blue Angel over here playing what I would consider a more standard build. The thing with Curry Bandit is, I mean, you kind of lose out on this card being summoned, although you potentially get some cards in the graveyard. I just feel like the Brandish Mechanism just needs to be activated turn 1. I don't care if you're running like a lot of cards like Into the Void, Pot of Desires even. I mean, there's so many cards that you just need to just be able to just go through. Specifically adding this card, to me, it's really important in the deck because, as you guys will see, especially in Mirror Match, like whoever's getting multi-roll, or just this card in general, it's just such a huge advantage over here. Like I said, I don't think Curry Bandit's the right way to go, but we are still in the earlier stages of people building the deck. I mean, we only have 3 monsters right now. Technically 1 is in the main deck, the rest of them are in the extra deck, but the whole deck, again, revolves kind of around setting up your regular spells, and a lot of the regular spells, like the most important ones, are going to be the one where it's like you can destroy like a spell or trap or a monster. There's one that destroys monsters and one that destroys spell and traps. And then if you have 3 or more, you get to do the other effect. So for example, Afterburn over here makes it so you get to target a face-up monster on the field as long as you control no monsters in your main monsters, in which this deck can do real easy. You just summon any of the Brandish Link monsters. Just require 1 Brandish monster that's not of the same type. So the fire cannot go into the fire, and like the water cannot go into the water. But basically what you do is going back to this card, you get to target one face-up monster on the field with Afterburner, and you can destroy it, but then if you have 3 or more spell and trap cards in your graveyard, you can destroy a spell or trap. And there's another one that's basically like the, okay, so this one is the reverse. The Brandish skill Jamming Wave makes it so if controlling the monsters your main monster, then again, that's pretty easy. You get to target 1 set spell trap on the field, and then if you have 3 or more, you get to target, or you can destroy 1 monster on the field. So basically, again, it's kind of like the opposite of the other one. So basically, you want to be activating the regular spells during your turn, so that way, when you have, of course, the continuous spell card, you're going to be able to set all of your quick plays. And then when you go for all your quick plays during your opponent's turn, you get to you basically get to re-add all back the other ones. And I know that they might not exist in the graveyard, but there's a card that searches out those cards anyways, so therefore they will exist in the following turn anyways. But basically that sums it up. Again, there's a lot of snatch stealing in this deck, and the deck is very safe on a lot of things, because at the moment I don't think there's very good ways to stop spells in the game that like most of the meta can technically make. We're talking about, again, Naturia Beast, as well as Secret Village of the Spellcasters. That would destroy this deck. This would make this deck not function. Oh, by the way, when you go for the Link monsters, they all go for like a free +1. So the Fire one lets you add a Brandish spell card from your graveyard to your hand, and the Water one lets you add it from your deck to the hand. So basically, it's kind of cool. Like, you can go for either grave or go from the deck, and then obviously, again, you're going to be able to activate those cards. And again, this card is so insane. I think this card is pretty broken. Again, up to the number of, not only do you have that effect where it can protect you from being safe on all of your plays, meaning they can't ghost over you, they can't do anything, because your opponent cannot activate cards or effects in response to your spell card's activation. So as long as once per turn you target another card you control sent to the graveyard. So basically, you're safe on all of your plays if you activate Brandish Mechanism multi-roll. And then on top of that, you again are able to reset up, like, you can basically use all your cards in one turn. Heck, there's a lot of times you guys will see in these duels where people are destroying their own cards just so they can get like 3 in the graveyard, and just so they can activate it to activate the effect of multi-roll, because multi-roll gets you anything that you want out of the graveyard essentially. It lets you reset it and then it goes away. Now, another thing that can actually counter this deck, what I've realized, is not Giant Tornade. Hey Tornade is a card that could just you activate it and you just win the duel, because they don't really have any follow-up plays, at least I don't think so. However, you have to keep in mind that the Link monster will bring back the baby monster. So Maiden Ray is the only monster that we have in the main deck. And her effect is that you can tribute it to special summon any Brandish Maiden monster from your extra deck. And then if a face-up Brandish Maiden Link monster you control is destroyed by battle or leaves the field by an opponent's card effect, you get to have this card be special summoned from the graveyard. Now, one important thing is you can only activate Maiden Ray's effect once per turn. So basically, you have your Link monster. When the Link monster dies, you can go into, again, Maiden Ray. And if you want to, you can, tribute it as a quick effect. And again, guys, we only have 2 Link monsters as of right now, and there's no restrictions for Maiden Ray as of right now, because there's no dark Link monster that is from the Brandish archetype. You guys see, he's just like GG, dude. But yeah, dude, the multi-roll is probably one of the most important cards. There's a lot of different builds here, but I just wanted to go over the ones. I think this is the PK one, the Phantom Knights. Okay, this is the mirror match. Hold on. The one I wanted to really show off. Okay, actually, there's 2 good examples in here. Like I said, I'm trying to give you guys some variety. And shout outs to all you guys who sent in some gameplay. I'm just showing off a few of the different builds. Now, this one over here, there's a few plays that I wanted to like highlight over here, and like just kind of as a showcase of things like you should not do in certain scenarios. But anyways, once again, they're gonna go ahead and make a lot of their Link monster, well, there's definitely 2, but basically the turn 1 play is always like, you go make a Link monster, and then you get to add back one from the deck or graveyard, whatever your choice is. Now, I want to say that I don't think that this deck should be linking into other things. Now, there isn't really a restriction where it's like you have to control a Brandish Maiden, but going into things like Scoldy, I personally think is a mistake in this deck. Like, there's very few scenarios where like a Scoldy would be very good, because again, sometimes you are put in scenarios where you have to make like a monster, right? I think that the better play is just to like leave your Brandish Maiden, and then you can kind of stall with that one card, and you guys will see like right here. I would consider that a mistake over here, but you guys are gonna see again. There's a lot of times where the other player just can't really keep up with the free advantage that you are getting in the deck, because again, the deck has the ability to just activate like Jamming Wave, as well as the what's the fire one? Oh, it has fire on it. It's the Afterburner. So Afterburner and Jamming Wave are like the bread and butter of the deck. And then you also, again, have the cards in the deck, which I do need to go over. Even though I did make a video like showcasing off all the new cards, it makes it easier, at least for me, when I see things in action. Now, as far as like traps go in the deck, I don't think traps were actually necessary. The reason why is because I feel like that continuous card that lets you just set up whatever you didn't basically activate, you get to reset it the next turn anyways. I think that card's way better. Now, in this instance, we did see a Security Dragon summon, but it's mostly highlighting just like how much free advantage you can get in this deck. Because even though Ultimate Conductor Tyranno is summoned, again, isn't really that much that stops spells in the game. Like basically once you activate Regeki, like you're good to go in this format, I would say. There's not very many cards that are like, oh, I'm immune to Regeki. Now again, it just comes down to like Jamming Wave as well as like the Afterburner just being really strong. They also have like a Excavate effect, which is the Airspace Area 0 over here. But this one over here is going to be against Pendulum Magicians. But yeah, let me go ahead and go over the other cards while we're just going through some of the gameplay over here. So the Pendulum Magician guy is going to go ahead and, of course, go for the Astral Magician, or Astral Sorcerer. But anyways, so Brandish Airspace is the field spell for the archetype, and it lets you target one other card you control, and you activate the top 3 cards of your deck, and you get to add 1 excavated Brandish card from your, add it to your hand, and then you shuffle the rest back into the deck. Then if a Brandish card was excavated, send the targeted card to the graveyard. And then if this card is sent from the field zone to the graveyard by a card effect, you get to special summon 1 Brandish Maiden monster from your deck, which at the moment there's only 1. And the archetype is already looking really strong. And I know people are going to be complaining about the continuous card. And like I said, when this goes away, you're going to be able to get out the card that gives you any Link monster that's from the Brandish Maiden, except for a dark one. But there's no dark one at the moment, so basically it's whatever you want to go for. Now, as far as, like I mentioned before, like the Spell and Trap, I think it's just much better. Even though I think Solemn Strike is a great card, there's a lot more builds that I've seen from all the replays that you guys sent in. And by the way, thank you once again for all you guys that sent in the replays. I was just about to play this deck and I looked at my emails like, okay, I've got so many over here. I can get some ideas perhaps from you guys before I make my build of the deck. But I don't think I would run Curry Bandit personally. Like I said, I'd be running cards like Into the Void. I would just try to make it a speed variant, just because even if they go to the graveyard, you're going to be able to get those cards back anyways. And if not, you just set all the cards anyways. And it's not like you can clog your hand with too many monsters because, well, there's only 1 monster as of right now for the archetype. But anyways, there's another card that I think is really, really strong in the deck, Brandish Startup Engine. So again, if you control no monsters, your main monsters, in which again, you're just going to, you either activate that immediately or you just summon your Maiden Ray. Maiden Ray goes straight into the Link monsters. Oh, dang, I can't click on it. Okay, that card's really important. Again, I have a lot of replays, so we'll definitely go over the effects. And then, so this one's against Altergeist, one of the more meta decks right now in the game. But anyways, Brandish Startup Engage makes it so, again, if you have to control the monsters in your main monster zone, which is a lot of their effects. But anyways, you get to add a Brandish card from your deck to your hand, except for itself. And then if you have 3 or more, you get to just draw an extra card. So more than likely you're going to draw into a spell card. So this is the card that basically sets you up for all of your plays, which again, when you have the continuous spell card, that makes it so you can't be negated as long as you've sent 1. And then on top of that, you're able to reset all of your stuff, which obviously next turn you're going to be able to go for your stuff. Now what I think is really, really strong, even though he's able to go ahead and negate the effect of this card, which is the card effect to add, the problem is that at any moment, then he gets rid of this card with Silky Toss, or I forgot what they changed its name to, but I believe it's like it's spelt like differently, but you'll see him go to the play. So he's going to go ahead and go for Mellow Seek and turn to Tribute to activate. Mellow Seek will then add a Multi-Faker. Really, really good card indeed. But there's also a quick play that just gives him basically a free token. The token, again, can go straight into this because not only does like Maiden Ray just go straight into anything, but this card can actually, the token, anything goes straight into this except for the same attribute, essentially. But you guys will see Silky Toss tried to bounce back, but it doesn't matter because Maiden Ray can be there. Now, however, in this case, the Altergeist player had to go kind of minus with Protocol over here. which is, again, another fantastic card. But I feel like too many of these new archetypes, and let me know if you guys agree with me on this, they're just like, no, you can't negate anything. I really dislike, you can't negate any of my Altergeist cards. Like, that's so annoying to deal with. Like, Altergeist activations and effects can't be negated, and the continuous spell card over here, as long as you go for the effect, you can't respond to any of my spell cards. Like I really dislike those kinds of decks. I understand if there's like one card that says, okay, this turn, like once per turn, I can negate one thing, like a Sheehan, like I can negate a spell or a trap, but not just like, oh, this whole turn, like you can't do anything. Like lacking player interaction is definitely a problem. And I wanted to make this video for another topic, but let me know if you guys have experienced a lot more quitting in Yu-Gi-Oh. Like I'm talking about people like you go first, you do a play, and then like your opponent just quits on you. Because like they're just like, I can't deal with this, and it's not even that they're really rage quitting. It's literally that like they've just lost the game. It's just because just so many archetypes are really reliant on like one thing, or you go for one play and they're just like, okay, I lose, and that's just how it is. But anyways, we're also seeing Foolish Burial Goods over here because this lets you basically put 2 up into the graveyard. I don't know again if I would play some of these cards, but I wanted to showcase them off. And like again, unfortunately, he had too many protocols, but you gotta play the protocols. Anyways, there's a okay, this is the one I want to showcase off. The Phantom Knights over here. We got Blackwing over here. He's playing the Phantom Knights, but we're really here to see Blue Angels deck over here. And you can also Rota for the targets. I'm not sure if I think these are all like machine and waifus over here, because at the moment there's only 3 cards. But I want to say the smaller monsters that are in the main deck are all going to be warriors, and all of the extra deck monsters are all going to be machine. Now, unless we get some type of spellcaster, again, Secret Village is going to absolutely destroy this deck. But like, you get so much advantage with this deck. Every card is a +1, and again, the card that I think makes the deck super OP is, of course, the continuous one. And we're not even seeing it in some of the duels. I think the card is broken too. Like, I'll agree with you guys on that, but I don't think it's on the same level necessarily as Spellbook Judgment, because technically you would have to wait, and obviously they could potentially get rid of this card, unless of course you're able to activate that effect, depending on whose turn it is. But yeah, dude, this card is just, to me, multi-roll is just so OP. In the duel where you saw the guy running the bamboo sword engine, like, dude, he had like 20 cards. He had like entire back row. He like drew so many cards. He had just everything set up. Again, this deck just gets too much free advantage in the game, and he's just gonna go ahead and send that card. The multi-roll is just like, I'm gonna go ahead and set this, and this card is gonna go ahead and again, this is the card that's going to be able to add any of the Brandish cards, and you guys will see the card over here where he's making it so the he's going to target a face-up monster and make it so it is unaffected by card effects, and then also if you have 3 or more, it can't be destroyed in battle. So you have Ego Booster is the protect card, so basically it's going to prevent you from getting OTK'd essentially. So if you're really worried about that, you know what deck your opponent is playing, you can definitely go for that. He's going to go ahead and go for a Boreal Dragon, and he's going to go ahead and, again, multi-roll is just too much free advantage. You guys see, he like invested everything into the Boreal Dragon, but it doesn't matter because the spell cards just can't be stopped in the game, and maybe that's what we need, is some type of spell like negation over here that's more versatile for a majority of decks. But again, it's just that this deck gets so much advantage. I mean, look at this, like the multi-roll just activated a bunch of Brandish cards. Set like this deck always has like 3 to 4 back rows. Sometimes it's 4 back row, and then it's obviously multi-roll because this card's gonna be the face-up card, and then all the quick plays that you have, it's like, oh, you can't destroy a battle, can't be destroyed by card effects, and then on top of that you have a Snatch Steal, which is Mecha Shark. So this one negates, well, this one, you control the monster in your main monster, and you target one monster in your opponent's graveyard, you can banish it. But if you have 3 or more, which is pretty much part of the deck, you can just special summon that monster in your field, but it can't attack. And that usually is, guys, what people use Brandish Mechanism multi-roll for, because you could just use all of your quick plays, or you just activate all your stuff, because, well, this card's going to get you all the other cards to get you all the other cards, right? So the quick plays let you basically search out the regular ones, and the regular ones will then let you get out the quick plays. And that's kind of how the deck works. So it's important to manage utilizing multi-roll to be able to activate your regular ones, like the Afterburner and like the Storm card, and then when it's your opponent's turn, you'll have all the quick plays set up in your graveyard. That's essentially the idea of the deck. At least that's what it seems like as of right now. And there's a lot of different cards that people are trying out. But let me know, guys, what you think of the deck now that you guys have seen it in action. Is it broken? Is it just mediocre? I think it's very good, but I think it would lose to Hatronade, which I think is a card that a lot of people will consider playing. I mean, a lot of people are still just keeping that card in the back, you know, just of like their side decks, and I can definitely see why, because this is definitely going to be a card that will destroy this deck. However, I have not seen, as you guys have seen by majority of these plays over here, they didn't have very much hand traps, if any. So I think that one thing you could do if you wanted to play Brandish, if you were to, let's say, go into game 2 and 3, and you were to side deck a bunch of cards, side decking into those hand traps can be good, because when your opponent side decks into Hatronade, you can kind of respond to them and then have another turn. At least that's my thoughts on it, but you guys can let me know what you think of the deck. Is it any good? Is it a trash deck? I think, honestly, it's going to be like tier 0 if it gets really good support. Right now, it's pretty strong. Again, that continuous spell card is really OP in my personal opinion, but dude, some of the new like dark structure deck stuff is also really OP. It's not out yet, but we'll definitely get you guys some footage of that. In fact, I really want to try out that thing, because that deck also seems broken, but a lot of broken things going to be coming out in the game in the future. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like on it, and if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button to see more new Yu-Gi-Oh decks in action.